Hello, everyone. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. I've had so many people reach out to me on the show and they say, Jake, listen, we love it when you bring financial experts on the show. It's always remarkable. We learn so much from you. And when are you going to bring a mortgage expert on the show? When are you going to bring a worldwide or really an American leader on the show with regard to mortgages? I'm sure Andrew also could talk about the worldwide mortgage market as well. Andrew Russell is the owner and founder of RCG Mortgage. And we went through the Rolodex and we were looking for real leaders in the space. And Andrew is very well known throughout the New York area. He's really a leader. You know, he was born and bred in New York. He's a native currently living in Huntington. He's a very resourceful entrepreneur. He really knows everything about mortgages. He's a leader in the space. He gets brought on for conferences and they bring him to daises. He speaks at, mortgage gatherings. I mean, he's really a go-to guy. So we wanted to bring Andrew on the show and talk about mortgages today. Andrew Russell, welcome to the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Well, thank you, Andy. That is some intro. Wow, that'll never be replicated. So thank you so much for having me. It's great to be able to speak with you.
I love having you on the show. I mean, everybody knows you throughout the New York area. You're a go-to mortgage guy. I guess I'll call you a mortgage guy, mortgage professional. You've been able to help so many people with their mortgages, both purchases and refinances. I mean, throughout the years, you've got a great team at your company at RCG. You only hire the best of the best to come work for you. But before we get started and dive into mortgages, let's pull the lens back to 30,000 feet just a bit and tell us about RCG Mortgage.
All right, RCG Mortgage. So I'm owner and founder of RCG Mortgage. We opened in April of 2017. We started with 3 people, myself and 2. And here we are closing out 2021. We're going into the 40s. From an employee perspective. When I started the company, I'm like the type of guy, I like to be the best, but I like to do it the right way, build something that is a legacy for myself and my family, but do it the right way. It's not a money play for us. It's serving the community, serving our realtor partners and our clients alike. So how do you do that? I spent a lot of time in the think tank, business planning, right back here, war rooming, what will make us great from a service level perspective and just like a scalable company perspective. So we opened in April of 17. By the end of 2018, I felt we were ready to hit market and build our market share. And then here we are, the end of 2021. And I can comfortably say we're the preferred go-to mortgage company for a multitude of real estate companies, from Keller Williams to Exit, to some huge companies, especially in New York. I'm real proud of the team and, sky's the limit for us.
I love it, Andrew. Of course, so many realtors depend on RCG to give their clients, fast mortgages, to take care of them in the mortgage process. When you start getting referrals from real estate companies as the go-to mortgage lender for their clients, that says so much about what you're able to do, because realtors don't monkey around. When they find a mortgage lender that they like, they stick with it. And when you've earned their business, that's a great feather in your cap. Let's talk about it a little bit, because we've got the purchase market going on right now, Andrew. We've got the refinance market going on. Real estate is super hot all over the country. Of course, I'm in San Francisco right now, but everybody knows I'm out of Arizona. Arizona's hot market. What's going on with this purchase market as you see it from a mortgage perspective in your area?
I mean, yeah, to your point, right? You find a great mortgage guy, a real estate agent holds on for dear life, because, Andy, mortgage is very, very difficult. Why? I don't know. And the typical first-time buyer, they correlate like, I'm going to get a mortgage. So it's just like if I want to get a Toyota, I go into 3 Toyotas. One is $450, one's $425, one is $399. Cool, I'll take the $399. It's the same car, right? They check your credit, they ask a few things, done. You sign and drive. That is not the mortgage process, especially in New York. It is very, very difficult to get a mortgage in New York. So There's a lot of loan officers, tens of thousands at least, maybe even more, maybe hundreds of thousands in New York. I don't even know. But it doesn't mean that everyone is the same. There's so much that goes into the mortgage process. Who you work with, what company they work for. Are they a mortgage broker company? Do they work at an FDIC bank? Are they a mortgage banker? What does that even mean? Are they at a credit union? So that is something the American consumer, let alone the New York consumer, doesn't know. So it's my job, to educate, right? People don't just wake up, Andy, and say, oh, RCG, I'm going to give Andrew, I'm going to hit him up on text. Our job is to educate because we are the best stop for them. We offer the best rates. We have the best service. We're the industry professional. If we tell you we're going to do something, guess what? We're going to do that. And again, that's what separates us from the rest, is knowing our craft through and through, being the high-level specialist. If you're going in for surgery, you want to go to a surgeon that specializes in that surgery, right? Not someone that can kind of do everything, but isn't necessarily the specialist, right? And that's exactly where we are. So the purchase market is hot. We have some great relationships with our realtor partners offering great service, but, we're excited for next year moving forward because the values have gone up. There's been some real craziness in the New York market post-COVID. It should cool a little. I mean, as busy as realtors are, some of them wanted like a minute off to be able to take a breath, have a glass of wine with their husband or wife and, be able to enjoy life a little bit. But, the business is definitely booming. If you're at the right company and you're doing the right thing by your clients, it's a great field to be in and it's very rewarding.
Yeah, Andrew, that's awesome. And of course, mortgage people are not all the same. And if I'm a realtor in the New York area, I'm a real estate firm, I'm an agent or even a broker of a firm, and I'm thinking about this transaction. It's such an important transaction for people. They've got such an emotional and financial investment in purchasing a home. And with mortgages, if you get the wrong mortgage guy or gal, a lot of things can go wrong, which is why these brokers and these real estate agents reach out to you, Andrew, at RCG, because it's such an important transaction that they need everything done right. And they really love the type of communication that you're able to give at RCG to both them and their clients. You're known for that throughout New York. Let's talk about that. Where does that communication with the real estate agents and the clients come from? Because that's one of the things that you become known for in a very stellar way at RCG.
Well, thank you, Andy. So look, the secret sauce, right? What is my secret sauce? You wouldn't know this just by looking at me. So I don't have a business background. I have a master's in psychology. I come from a counseling background. So that is the secret sauce. So in other words, we empathize. I sit in the realtor's shoes, the referral partner. I sit in the client's shoes. If I was the client, what would I be looking for, right? That's the whole key to relationships, right? Is empathizing. So if I was a client, I'd want to know what's going on. I'd want somebody to communicate that to me in a human way versus like DTI, LTV, this rate, that rate, 30 or 15 years. Think about it. The average buyer has no clue about mortgage. None, zero, absolutely nothing. So what happens? They're probably married. They probably have children, Andy. Guess what? Those children have to get into the school district come September. There's a lot of anxiety. And what happens, the more anxiety you have, the more the brain gets clouded, the more you miss things, the more anxious you get. So what we do here and why we're so great is a few things. Number one, we have a human approach. We speak to people like they're our humans, our friends, our sisters, our brothers, our husbands, our wives versus a file. I've heard my competitors, and I've heard people reference your file. I don't even know what that means. What is a file? I mean, let alone everything is virtual now, but if you treat people as if you would want to be treated, putting yourself in their shoes, that's always been our strategy. That's part of what we do. And then the second thing is you have to be right or indifferent, you have to be available 24/7. We don't stop communicating Friday at 5. The bell doesn't go off. We're all right, peace. See you next week. Weekends. When, Andy, do you think all the magic happens in the spring? The weekends, right? Saturday, they're out, they're going on Zillow, they're hitting up open houses, they have their agent showing them 10, 12, 14, 20 houses. I mean, the lines from the previous year are wild from some of these open houses. So if people are out on the weekends, what has to happen? Oh, their mortgage resource has to be available. That's what we offer. I mean, this is pretty much where we live, but this is the business, it's a great business. If I was a client, if I was a realtor, Sunday at 2:00, guess what I'm doing? hey, Andrew, we just saw this house, 500,000, 12,000 in taxes. Man, my wife loves it, but like, can you do me a favor? What does the monthly look like? We might make an offer. Like, that's what we provide. We're there for our clients. We communicate well, and it's things that they can take and understand from a human perspective, but also we're always available. Myself and my team, literally, unless we're sleeping, we will answer, our smartphone is where we live. So unless we're sleeping, we're always available. And that's the key feature to having a great mortgage guy.
I love it, Andrew. And of course, for the entrepreneurs watching the show, rewind what Andrew just said, because it's that commitment to the client that really separates him from the rest, his company from the rest. And in your particular space, whether you're in mortgages, finance, technology, marketing, PR, whatever space you're in, it's always about that commitment to your client. And of course, Andrew and his team understand that, by looking at the war room behind Andrew over his shoulder, I mean, he loves to do that. And that's just a small part of his team, of course, there. But listen, Andrew, one thing that's very fascinating about RCG and what you do and what you train your world-class team about is options. When people call you, like you mentioned, they don't really understand a lot about mortgages. So how important is it sort of to be their counselor, like to say to the potential client, you've got a 30-year mortgage. This is what it's going to look like. This is what that monthly payment looks like. But let's look at where you're at in your life, maybe a 20 or a 15-year or an ARM or a fixed rate or a variable. That might be a better way to go. Let's talk about some different options and then see what works best for you and your family.
So options are everything, to your point. So, we spoke about this when we spoke initially. So we opened up a mortgage broker company because we want to be able to give the most amount of options, right? This is the whole point of the benefit of the broker versus, the banker, an FDIC or a credit union. So literally, we are on with every bank. We don't get compensated on the type of loan we give. Therefore, it is our job from a consultative perspective versus other companies, not that they're steering still in the industry, but no matter what loan we put our clients in, our company makes the same. And so why do I say that? Because our job is to give the best mortgage program to the client. We want to ensure when Andy calls us and he's going into contract that we're not steering him into something that makes RCG or the company more money. No. We want to give him the best program for him, for his needs, whether it's a 30-year or a 15-year, like you said, an adjustable, something of the sort. When you have someone working on your behalf, that's truly working on your behalf, that's when you get the best results in mortgage.
I love it, Andrew. Now let's talk about it a little bit because, back 2000, 7, thereabouts, there were some challenges. We had that subprime thing going on, and then all of the regulations sort of tightened up and it became very, very tight and stringent. But in today's world, for today's borrower, for the borrower that doesn't fit in that nice, neat box, but, needs a little flexibility, maybe they're self-employed or that type of thing, has the mortgage programs loosened up a little bit for that type of a borrower? And where's all that at right now?
Yeah, it's so funny. I just was on a Zoom webinar this morning with 500 realtors as a mortgage guest, and I literally just touched upon this. And it is, I call it the bougie non-QM, but I just like that word bougie. I always try to find a way to plug that word. But, so like you said, to your point, 07, 08, anything previous, there were subprime loans, there were options. Then all of a sudden it's super vanilla, right? Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, that's pretty much the niche. And then it's like, if not that, sorry, right? Then all of a sudden rolled out this thing called non-QM, qualified mortgage, non-QM. It was kind of getting big, and then the pandemic happened, unfortunately. And then from there forward, taken off the shelf. But here we are, came back on the shelf, probably around June, May-ish. And then now it's October, November. Now it's very strong. So what does that mean? This bougie new non-QM, which it's just a new subprime. That's pretty much what I call it. There's a lot of alternate ways to check people's income or qualify them for a mortgage, meaning self-employed. That's the huge market now that has opportunities. So typically we look at tax returns. Everybody that's self-employed, what do they do, Andy? You may be self-employed too. I don't know. I'm not trying to drop the dime on you, but you write off your expenses, right? So if you make $50,000, and you write off 40,000 of expenses, you claim to the IRS you netted 10,000, but mortgage world, we use the 10,000 for qualification. Oh no, with this new mortgage program, they go off bank statements. So instead of looking at tax returns, we get 12 months of bank statements. We add all the business deposits, and at a bare minimum, we cut it in half. So for instance, if you make $10,000 a month, but you typically write it all off and you show the government, flat or a little bit higher, you can't qualify for a mortgage. Now we can use that 10 grand a month with a small expense factor. So the net is self-employed income calculation has changed. If you're self-employed, you can actually get a loan. Finally, it's a huge advantage. There's so many people in downstate New York that own businesses. They have a lot of expenses. They write it off. Couldn't buy a house, if it was the last thing they do on earth. Now we have great mortgage programs for them. And so you say, oh, Andrew, what's the negative? The rates are probably horrible. The fees are probably through the roof. No, the average rate is about a 0.5% to 0.75%, which is small. That's the margin now from, the typical vanilla to some of these newer bougie, non-QM type programs. So the product offering is going up. And that's the benefit of working with a broker like RCG Mortgage. We have access to everything, whereas one bank may not specialize in everything. So, if it's not with us, if we can't offer it, no one can. Again, that's our huge benefit. But we have a finger on the pulse of all these new mortgage products, and then we could offer it to our clients and give more clients the opportunity of buying a house.
I love it so much. It's really great. And homeownership is so important. And you mentioned these new programs available for self-employed individuals, and they now have an opportunity versus what it's been like over the past few years to sort of participate in this new home ownership. And all good things happen for them and their families when they participate in this, what we used to call the American dream. And I hope we still do of home ownership. So it's really great. And of course, you mentioned you're a broker, so you get the best of the best. You get to bring in the best of what the entire umbrella of mortgages has to offer. And you bring that into your team at RCG. And of course, you train your team up and they get to be able to provide really what's the best of the best. It's really a great way to go. Now, Andrew, I know you've only cut out a certain amount of time, and I'm going to bring you back on the show because this is great. And I think your psychology background as an entrepreneur really resonates for me, and I'm sure is going to resonate so much for our viewers. They're hearing you. You're one of the leaders in the space. Everybody knows you in the New York area, and they're saying, wow, he has a psychology background, and he was able to sort of pivot that into being into this financial mortgage industry using what he learned at college, which is awesome. So let's talk about entrepreneurship, because we're going to have some younger entrepreneurs watching the show and they're listening to you, and you're like me, you get amped up pretty quick, and over your shoulder, you've got a great poster. It says hard work, persistence, late nights, rejection, sacrifices. Let's talk about rejections, because a lot of young entrepreneurs, they hit a roadblock. They hit a pothole in the road. They hit a big wall. Maybe they freeze in the frame. They don't know how to get through it. So maybe, Andrew, you could share, maybe you probably do this with your, boot camp, sharing with your loan officers how to get through a tough time and how to come out the other end really, resonating in a powerful way for you in your life after you get through that pothole.
Yeah, look, there's so many, coaching groups and books you could read and mentors. And, I'm a big Jocko guy just because I'm big into the, when things get tough, cool, dig in, man. Guess what? The sunny days around the corner. Yeah, today may be a little bit rainy. Yeah, today was tough. Yeah, maybe you got fired, right? Fired. Oh my God. Yeah, maybe, the checking account isn't where you want it to be, right? Or you took that risk and it didn't work out, because guess what? You're going to go to sleep. You're going to wake up and tomorrow it may work. With me, I can comfortably say everybody told me I was going to fail. Everybody, straight up, literally. Oh, you're opening up your own mortgage company in 2017 and the most regulated it's ever been. What are you, crazy? Literally, what are you, nuts? And you know what I did? I didn't listen to any of them. I did it. Why? Because I have confidence. So, new entrepreneurs, people starting out in the business space, don't do it if you're not confident in yourself. You have to say, I'm going to wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, look at myself, and know I'm going to do it. And no matter what happens, you don't have to bat 1,000. We all have bad days. We all make mistakes. There's money to be lost, etc. But you have to have confidence. You have to be consistent, right? It's not a 1 or 2 day thing. It could be years. It took me a year and a half to position myself here to try to spread my wings. I'm an impatient guy, Andy. You think a year and a half was okay for me to say, I'm going to hold on? Like, it's imagine having a Lamborghini in your garage and you can't drive it for a year and a half. That's how I felt. You see my energy. I'm so excited to offer great service to everybody. So like, but business plan, make sure when you go into business, it's not half you-know-whatted. Business plan, meticulous, talk to industry people, ask, get great mentors, people that care for you, people that want to see you succeed, not frenemies. Have a great circle, a great infrastructure when you eventually roll out, right? You know the saying, you have to get the right people on the bus and into the right seat. All these concepts, right? These are all important for new entrepreneurs. But if you have the confidence in yourself, no matter what happens, stay consistent and you will always overcome, right? The risks, the criticism, the rejections. Hard work will always lead to success if you map it out correct. Hard work and success. So success is not every single day. It's okay to have failures. It's not okay to stay down. Always get up, right? Everyone gets knocked down. It's not how many times you get knocked down. It's when you stop getting up, right? That's how you define success to me.
Andrew, wow, that's awesome. That's really what I call a mini Harvard MBA you just gave. And it's no doubt why you always get invited to all these panels and to speak in front of industry experts, because it's just awesome. And of course, you become known for this red carpet service, and you provide this seamless experience for, your clients, for all the clients that your realtor base sends over to you. It's really remarkable what you've been able to build. We're going to have you on the show again. I'm going to call it Entrepreneurship with Andrew. I mean, I love it so much. It's great.
Andrew's Mortgage Minute,
I love it. The Mortgage Minute. Why not? And we'll do it for 30 minutes. So, Andrew, listen, what you're doing is remarkable. When we did our pre-call, I was very excited to have you on the show. Thanks for sharing so much about sort of what it's all about. Your people are ready. They're willing, they're able, they're available at a minute's notice. They get back to their clients immediately. There's no waiting around. And really, you've really driven that into your team about being the first to the party and not being someone that gets back to someone in a day or two. I mean, you're right on it. And that's why the realtors love you. And congratulations on what you're doing, in downstate New York with all the realtors that are sending you business. And of course, the refi business is going to be a huge boom here coming up with all the equity that's being built up with cash out refinances. So listen, Andrew, this is an awesome interview. I'm going to have you back on the show. And I wanted to thank you so much for coming on the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Well, thank you, Andy. It's been great speaking with you, and I appreciate it.